Hi, this is Deirdre Robertson with Frostburg First, and I'm excited to share the information about the upcoming Safe Reopen as part of the first stage of the Maryland Road to Recovery, moving forward from COVID-19. I've done a little bit of digging and gone through some of the guidelines associated with the new executive order, and hope to provide you with a little bit more insight and some specific recommendations that will benefit downtown Frostburg businesses. So again, if you haven't heard, as of yesterday, the governor announced that certain restrictions are being lifted. Retail businesses are now able to open with some limitations. There are still some different regulations, and there are guidelines and recommendations for that reopening. And so that's a little bit about what we'll talk about. We'll get into who it can reopen, who is still required to stay closed or to be operating with curbside pickup or delivery services only. And we'll also talk a little bit about a new funding opportunity that's going to be available to Frostburg businesses only. So first, if we take a look at the executive order that was released yesterday, effective of 5 o'clock tomorrow, May 15th, Friday, May 15th, retail businesses, organizations, establishments, and facilities in the state of Maryland that principally sell goods, again, retail establishments, may open to the general public. The number of persons permitted in a retail establishment at any one time cannot exceed 50% of what that maximum occupancy is for that building or that retail establishment. And there's some further detail there regarding the maximum occupancy load of the facility. And that should be based on the fire code or any other permits that you have for your business. So again, we want to limit the number of people that are coming into the stores and still limit the possibility for physical contact. Retail establishments should also continue to comply with the order from the governor that requires the use of face coverings and implementation of certain physical distancing measures. So retail establishments, any businesses that are reopening, are required to establish procedures and policies regarding how they're going to cope with physical distancing. You as the employer and all of your staff members should be using face coverings, and you should require that your customers also wear masks and face coverings in order for peak safety. It's also encouraged that you examine the amount of space. So for instance, if you are setting up your checkout line, mark the locations where people are at a safe 6-foot distance to make sure that you're complying with those physical distancing measures. So those are things that we still do, the regulations that are still in place that you do have to maintain. You're also encouraged to post signage at your entrances to your businesses that advise your customers, visitors, and staff about your requirements. So the eligible businesses to reopen include the list that you see here: animal adoption shelters, art galleries or art supply stores, beauty salons and barbershops. These do have beauty salons and barbershops are considered personal service or businesses, and they do also have additional special regulations. So you want to refer to the executive order from the governor regarding those specific requirements. Again, most of that has to do with limiting the number of people against 50% capacity, the sanitization of the location where somebody has been sitting for their treatment or their appointment, and also 100% requires the use of masks by both staff and customer. Bookstores are allowed to reopen, car washes, clothing, shoes, accessory stores, florists, furniture stores, jewelers, lawn and garden stores, pawn shops, pet groomers, sporting goods and outdoor recreation stores, and tobacco and vape shops. All of these are now eligible to reopen under the regulations stated forth by the governor in the executive order. So some of the best practices that we're looking at recommended by the state for reopening. Prepare ahead of time your reopening and operating plan. Make sure that you're following CDC guidance and OSHA guidance as well to ensure the safety of your employees, of your customers, and of course of yourself. Employees and customers should continue to wear facial coverings. Having the business owner and the staff wearing facial coverings will encourage your customers to wear them as well, which increases the likelihood of safety and decreases the likelihood of there being another outbreak. Certainly, we understand that there are a lot of people who are not fans of wearing masks, and it's a bit of a controversial issue right now, which is why we very much recommend that all Frostburg businesses do require the wearing of facial coverings. If we have one or two businesses that say, well, wear them if you feel like them, but we're not going to require them, that could really cause damage to another business who's really following these guidelines very clearly and carefully. Unfortunately, we have seen in other states that have already started their reopening processes that individuals coming into stores are resistant at times to the new procedures and new practices that are encouraged for everyone's safety. There have been complaints about having to wear masks or having to maintain the safe distance, and in some cases where customers have had to been asked to leave or to not enter the store because they are unwilling to comply. There have been some abusive or unpleasant incidents there. We certainly want to avoid that in Frostburg. It's a supportive, wonderful community. So just to avoid running into those issues, solidarity on behalf of all of the businesses for these policies is really the best idea here. So please do require your employees and customers to wear facial coverings when they're coming into the space. Ensure that you're providing enough room for there to be 6 feet between everybody. So between your staff member or whoever's behind the cashier and the customers, and between the customers themselves. Social distancing is still required, and since we don't want to see a spike in infection and hospitalizations that would require yet another shutdown, it's really best if we follow these practices. Be sure that you're cleaning and disinfecting frequently touched surfaces in accordance with CDC guidelines. This does not mean you have to wipe down every single thing that a customer has touched. That would be extraordinarily difficult, but we do encourage you to be sure that you're scheduling regular times to disinfect, and certainly after closing each day, do a really good cleaning throughout the store. And again, you can look at CDC guidelines for more detail on what those cleaning processes should be. Of course, we encourage you to wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use a hand sanitizer, particularly if you are exchanging currency. Develop a customer flow plan using floor markings, and this can just be using, masking tape or something, just so you're indicating where it's safe for your customers to stand. And we do really encourage you to indicate direction. So if you've got multiple aisles in your store, indicating you should go up this one, down a different one. That way you don't have people running into each other or having to move around each other. And that just helps, again, to streamline the process of keeping everyone safe, practicing social distancing, and making sure that we continue moving forward in recovery and aren't set back. Where possible, try to implement and encourage touchless payment. Certainly if you can encourage customers to order ahead or pay online and then just do curbside pickup or just pick up in the store, that is preferable because there's much less likely opportunity for them to come into contact with you or other customers. And then also post signage that advises customers not to enter the store if they are sick or symptomatic. So even if they don't think they have COVID, if they are unwell, do encourage them not to come into your store, because then that will lead to another series of issues. So these are the best practices that are being put out by the state. Again, as you see, most of that is focusing on being prepared to reopen, having a plan already in place so you're not trying to control things as they're happening, and trying to figure out what to do when you've got too many customers at one time. Making sure that facial coverings are being worn wherever possible. maintaining social distancing, keeping 6 feet from all other people, and ensuring that your customers have a very clear plan to follow when they're coming into the store. Continue to sanitize as much as possible, and implement touchless payment or contactless payment or delivery wherever possible. And just to also just to show you as well some of the recommendations from the state, the Maryland Strong Back to Business Pledge, this has been included in an email that I sent out to our businesses and will be posted on our website as well. We encourage you to sign this pledge and put it in your windows, or on your doors where people are coming in, so that customers know what to expect as they're coming in. And again, this is just outlining some of those recommendations that I just went through here. And so again, the more people that do this, the more businesses that follow these guidelines and make it clear to their customers that this is what's expected, the less likely we are to have those incidences where people are angry or unpleasant or aren't appreciating the danger, and then also the effort that you're going to as the businesses. Some recommendations based on some of the marketing seminars and webinars that I've been through, and also from the state and national Main Street organizations, is first, before you move forward to reopen, really develop clear policies and procedures for customer interaction. You need to train your staff. If you have staff, if you're a sole proprietor, then really think through how you're going to interact with your customers. Just a reminder, if you're wearing a mask, people can't see you smile. So one of the things to do is, how do we make those connections with people? Are we waving? Are we nodding? Are we greeting them, verbally? So try to think of ways that you can connect with your customers without relying so much on those facial expressions, because that's going to be an ongoing issue. And again, these policies and procedures that you're developing, this is going to be a long-term process. We're definitely not going to be completely back to normal for a while. So it's a good idea to really put some thought into these policies and procedures now, so that you can adapt them as needed as we move forward. Once you've developed these policies and procedures for your business, be sure that you're posting all of those policies and procedures on your social media, on your website, anywhere that you can be found online. We encourage you to post signage outside your door, so that people are aware before they come in what your policies are. Please let us know at Frostburg First. And that's something that we can include on our webpage regarding business services and hours. We want to be sure that the community and customers have a very clear idea of what to expect as we move forward with a safe reopen. Allegheny County's been fortunate to have lower numbers, and we want to keep it that way. And we certainly want Frostburg to be a city that not just survives this, but thrives throughout the process. And that's what these policies and procedures are meant to help you do. So again, post signage on your door or in your entry that requires masks and limits the number of customers permitted at a time. In our email that we sent out this afternoon to all of our businesses, we also included a generic sign that you can use and just write in the number of customers you'll permit at a time. We encourage you to use that or create a new one based on that. That way there is, again, some consistency between all of our small businesses. We also encourage you, it's not required, but it's a good idea to set up a sanitization station at the front of the store, where you could have hand sanitizer, tissues, etc. If you see, for instance, in this photo, this is what something like that would look like. If you want to include plastic gloves, sanitizer, and some information on what they should be doing, how they should be cleaning. Having something like that at the front of the store is very, very helpful. That, again, reminds customers that this is not a back to normal situation, that they do need to be cautious and aware, and they need to treat your store as a privilege and an opportunity, rather than just assuming that they get to do everything the way that they did before. We also encourage you, where possible, rather than having necessarily open business hours where you're encouraging people to browse, because that's still not highly recommended, just for safety issues. We encourage you to develop a reservation or an appointment system that helps to prevent overcrowding. That way you don't have a line of people out the door waiting to come in and potentially getting tired of waiting, or feeling that might be unsafe. If you've got an appointment system, people know when they're coming in. They know that when they come in, there will be limited people in the store. That may make them feel more comfortable coming to your shop, or to your business. If you have not already, develop or streamline your curbside pickup and home delivery process. Based on expectations from the state, we still anticipate that the majority of orders and shopping is going to be done from the safety of people's homes. Even though things are starting to reopen and we'll probably see some increase in traffic, a lot of people are still very concerned about the situation, and will be utilizing curbside pickup and home delivery whenever possible. And since the executive order is in fact a safer at home order, which does encourage people to stay at home whenever possible, again, these services are going to become more and more important as we move forward. Utilize e-commerce and online marketing wherever possible. If you don't have a way for customers to order online, whether that's on your website, or through PayPal, or by sending you a message on Facebook, try to develop a system so that you can do that. Again, this is a way of making your customers feel safer and make them more likely to engage in business with you. And it's also a way to protect yourself and to ensure that your business is following all of the recommendations and guidelines. If you have any concerns, if you have a non-compliant customer, or you see somebody is not following the regulations, or you have a question about whether or not something that you're doing is allowed, please do contact the City Police at Frostburg at 301-689-3000. They will be happy to help and answer any questions. So moving on, as we're talking about e-commerce and developing your online presence, I'm very, very excited to announce that Frostburg First is able to launch a MiniGrant program as part of our COVID relief process. This is a one-time grant award with a minimum request of $500 and a maximum request of $1,500 with no repayment due. This is not a loan. So the mini grant is limited to one award per business entity. The mini grant use includes website development or improvement, development of e-commerce, online marketing, and social media development. Our initial grant round we do have limited funds. What we've done here is we've converted our existing grant funds for fiscal year 20 in the amount of $10,500. And so we've been able to convert those funds to create these mini grant programs. So this is very much a first come, first serve basis, and it will be open until the funds are exhausted. We do expect them to go quickly. The grant round is going to open on Monday, May 18th. So I encourage you to be aware. I'll be sending the grant applications out and opening them officially at noon on Monday. So be prepared to go ahead and apply. If you do not make it in this time, we have applied for additional funds through the DHCD to continue this mini grant program. The second grant round will also include eligibility for developing curbside pickup, potentially some facade improvements, things that are geared towards COVID recovery. But this first grant round, because of the limited funds, are really only focused on helping you develop your website. If you don't have one, being able to hire someone to put that together for you, developing an e-commerce process, online marketing, and social media development. So again, we're really excited to be able to offer this to our Frostburg businesses, and this is only for businesses in downtown Frostburg or who are Frostburg First members with employees under 15. So under 15 employees, sorry, not the age of 15. So we're very excited about this process opening up. And again, I hope this will be of help as we move into this next stage of recovery. If you have any questions or concerns at all times, we're here for you. Please email us at frostburgfirst@gmail.com. You can visit the website at downtownfrostburg.com for more information. And I will be holding virtual office hours tomorrow, Friday, May 15th. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please check your email for the link, and I'll be posting that on our Facebook group as well. And I'm here to answer those questions. If you have any specific questions regarding the reopening process or recommendations there, I've got a lot of resources ready to go. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, I encourage you to look at those recommendations, really plan out how you want to go through the reopening process. Think about when it's most beneficial for you to start the reopening, and really consider how can you make this safe for your customers, how can you make it safe for yourself and your employees, and ensure that you are able to remain open long-term by avoiding falling into some of the pitfalls of not maintaining those social distancing and physical distancing requirements. Again, give us a call if you have any concerns, 301-689-6900. Email us at frostburgfirst@gmail.com. And I'm always here to answer any questions or brainstorm with you, or if you have any concerns. So I look forward to seeing what happens with this next stage of the recovery and seeing some of our shops open again. I can't wait to see you all. Thank you.